Good evening, everyone. Eric O'Brien here, author of The Ice Moon, Part 4 of the Duaredheim Staff Saga, with my co-authors Matt Whitaker and Tom Reed. I just wanted to talk about this latest installment of my saga. The Ice Moon was originally my project of 6 years when Tom Reed asked if I'd be interested in working on some writing with him. And then soon after, Matt Whitaker joined us, and before we know it, we had quite a side story going. And then after a while, we realized it meshed quite well with what I already had written for the Ice Moon. So I wove their work in with my own, and together we came up with the Ice Moon. And this is quite a book. It's over 200,000 words. The book itself is, it's about just under 1 3/4 thick. Let's see, how many pages we got here finally? 709 pages altogether. So it's quite a piece of work. At the end of the book is a dedication to Tom Reed, my late friend. Unfortunately, he never got to see this book completed during his lifetime. But posthumously, he's achieved one of his bucket list items. He always dreamed of becoming a published author. And there you have it, Tom. You got the Ice Moon. And there's his two favorite girls, Carolyn and Jill Kelly. Some of you probably know them as well. So, the eulogy that I wrote for him at his funeral is in the book in full, as well as a dedication to Tom that appears at the end of the book. The book has an extensive character listing, bibliography. The book is footnoted wherever we had inspiration. Need to footnote. The cover design by Stratton Press was my original idea, captured by their artists, and they did a fantastic job. Okay. There's a number of my own illustrations in the book. This one is a character named Cedric, modeled by Tommy Magazoo. Many of you may know Tommy. There's Tommy as Cedric with his pal, a grizzly bear. Everybody needs such a friend. Okay, so numerous sketches in the book. Here's a drawing modeled by Tommy's girlfriend, Elizabeth Robinson, as Karina Greylynx, an elven sword maiden. Came out pretty sharp. So you see a number of illustrations in the book. The writing is extensive. The story is compelling. There's maps, as necessary in all good fantasy books, I believe. You gotta have maps. The book itself is largely influenced by Gary Gygax's first edition Dungeons and Dragons, as well as second edition. A lot of creatures, characters, Tolkien influences in the book. Primarily, it is a Dungeons and Dragons action adventure, and it ends with the Ice Moon. It doesn't mean this is going to be the final book, but any additional books that I write, I plan on them being standalone stories. So you can read one story, you'll feel satisfied, be able to put it down, pick up another story, and so on. The cover depicts Queen Afra, the evil queen of Dragonia, in her youthful guise. She appears in all three forms as any good witch. A child, a young woman, and an old crone at times. And that's a Duaredheim spacecraft. There's a spaceship in this book, so really I can't just call this fantasy. I have to call it science fiction, because there's some nuts and bolts in the book. And there's the Ice Moon. Back of the book is standard fare, dedications to the authors, and there's just so much action, so much great stuff in this book. Again, it's impossible for me to cover it all. Basically, every promise that I made in my other books, everything I alluded to resolving, I was able to resolve in this book. It all ties in. So you read, everyone should feel satisfied by the end of this book that the story has come to a firm, well-crafted solution. So you should feel great at the end of the book. And I hope you'll want to read more. So basically, this is the final part, the conclusion of my series, the Duaredheim Staff Saga. And the first one, of course, you guys have been hearing my audiobook, some people, Kerr's Rage, Part 1. Similar, crafting by Stratton Press, using the Chicago manual style of editing. The Drums of Doom, Part 2. We're working on that audiobook now. And The Last Admiral, which up till the Ice Moon I would consider my greatest work. The Last Admiral is a prequel to Kerr's Rage. Tells the story of Acklon. Vlad Lucheron is my lead villain, if you will. He's not really a villain. He's sort of a revolutionary. But Vlad's father, Acklon, is betrayed by Queen Afra, and this entire fleet is basically destroyed in battle, or so everyone should believe. And this book depicts all of that, all the stuff around that occurrence. And I did extensive research on nautical terminology, sailing. Anybody who is into sailing or the ocean should appreciate, and hopefully I got all the lingo correct. So a lot of research went into this book. It's also a very large volume. Not as long as the Ice Moon, but nearly so. And there's a lot of great characters in this book. I took incarnations of David Carradine, Chuck Norris, John Wayne, Bruce Lee, all great action heroes from the past, Kirk Douglas, so many great characters, and I created incarnations of them. Mix up their names in some cases, but anybody that knew those actors from the past will recognize them in this book as well. I tried to capture their personality, their voice in every scene. I'm really happy with The Last Admiral. Anyway, that's part 3. If you read it first, it won't ruin the story, but it will take out some of the mystery of Kerr's Rage and Drums of Doom. So that's part 3. First edition of Kerr's Rage was done by Outskirts Press. Looked like this. And then the first edition of Drums of Doom. This was my original cover design idea. It was a photograph that I purchased the rights to. But little did I know that any author could purchase the same rights. So I found that other books had the same cover design. It was kind of disappointing. And basically, my great uncle John Anderson of Munson, Mass., a World War II veteran ranger who was wounded in northern Sicily. He spent a year in a body cast after the war. Somebody who was really proud of this country, believed in it wholeheartedly, 100%. But anyway, I knight him at the end of the Drums of Doom. He's a big character in this book and in the Ice Moon. And this is the original version of The Last Admiral. The cover design is a drawing I did of myself. It's a self-portrait, and I put myself in a costume modeled after a painting of Napoleon, and just did some fancy embellishments. And Acklon's a big organist. That's his instrument. So I modeled myself as Acklon in this rendition, this first edition of Last Admiral, which is no longer in print. So you have one of these, you might want to hold on to it. It's a valuable and rare book. Okay. So there you have it. The Duaredheim Staff Saga 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's a good value. I recorded Kerr's Rage for the audiobook. It took 13 3/4 hours to record the audio narration of Kerr's Rage. And Kerr's Rage is a much shorter book than The Ice Moon. So if you figure 2-hour movie matinees, you have 6.88 2-hour movie matinees that you could have watched in listening to Kerr's Rage. You get, 13 3/4 hours of entertainment. And if you were going to pay for a $5 matinee, it would cost you about $35. And Ice Moon is $21.99. So considerable savings, much longer duration of entertainment, and you get in the minds of the characters, something that a movie will never capture. You're in the mind of the writer, you're in the mind of the character, and just pick up a book and read. It's a great value. All my books are great values. I don't write short novels. I write, not overly long, but hopefully satisfying books that are worth the money. All right. Thank you for watching and have a great night.